right, let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Reasons for concern for the Eagles.
They collapsed down the stretch and didn't get rid of the coach that presided over the collapse.
Morale.
Morale
in a collapse.
I mean, what if last year was an actual rot that set in and they didn't, just changing the coordinators didn't fix it? Like, what if that was an indication that Nick Sirianni had run into a wall or got in over his head somewhere along, or there's something actually at work at the foundations of this team, and that didn't get fixed by bringing in, Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore.
As much as we have complimented their ability to draft 2 top corners with their first 2 draft picks, they needed to do that probably because we saw the regression from James Bradberry last year, Darius Slay getting a little bit older, and then just the depth getting chipped away at. Jason Kelsey's retiring, so you're moving Cam Jurgens to center. So is it really 2 new starters on the offensive line? Not really, but there's turnover on the offensive line, which has been so consistent. I mean, the Eagles have had one of the best offensive lines since like 2015 for us, with maybe 1 bad year in there. So maybe chipping away at some of that depth. Devontae Parker just retired.
Which leaves them really thin at receiver once you get – the top 2 are fantastic. A.J. Brown, one of the top receivers in the NFL. Devontae Smith, probably the best number 2 receiver in the NFL. Those 2 are great. And obviously Dallas Goedert at tight end is really good as well. But in terms of wide receiver, like the next 2 guys on the depth chart are probably the rookies, Johnny Wilson and Aeneas Smith. Paris Campbell is the only other guy there that's like this is –
They did make a power move last week.
They signed John Ross.
They did sign John Ross.
Saw that.
So I know it's the reasons for concern.
Signed him
show.
out of
I know
retirement.
we're supposed to be pessimistic, but this could be the year for John Ross.
They signed him out of retirement.
Yeah.
He unretired to play with the Eagles. Yeah.
You think he still runs 4.2?
You think he's just mad that somebody broke his record and he wants, it's not like he can get it back. He can't go run the combine again, but
why not? Go to Indy, set it up.
Yeah.
Go run 4.2. Go
I saw
get the record.
I think they simulcast at one point John Ross's 4.22 versus Xavier Worthy's 4.21, and John Ross was running Worthy down fast by the end of that, which kind of suggests that, and they simulcast it versus somebody else, and it's not like Worthy's versus somebody else, and he didn't blow them away out of the blocks, right? Which rather suggests those 2 pieces of information together rather suggests that John Ross ran a 4.22 with a bad start.
Oh, yeah. I think a big part of Worthy running 4.21 is he is an elite track athlete. Technique-wise, obviously you have to be fast to run 4.21, but I don't think there's a false step anywhere in Worthy's technique, whereas most other guys, it's you'll have a decent, I think Ross might just be a better pure speed guy, or was at that point. Worthy just feels like technique, sound, and he's maximizing all of that. So there we go. Reasons for concern for the Eagles. They're getting older, chipping away at the depth there.
And even
last year's collapse.
And the turnover across the board, right? They had this incredible roster, and they've done a really good job in terms of trying to future-proof it. But the risk is always, when you try and do that, you might just get it wrong sometimes, right? The Bengals are dealing with this, right? Dax Hill was a future-proofing type of pick. DJ Turner, a future-proofing type of pick. You can identify these guys and go, all right, we bring him in, he sits for a year, the next year he steps in, and that the learning from the sideline and the development, the coaching we can do maximizes the chances that that guy steps in and we seamlessly transition from veteran to younger player. Boom. We don't miss a beat, right? But if you get the wrong guy, you can't fix that. All you did is you don't know until a year later when he has to come into the lineup. So the Eagles have been doing this for a while, and again, done a good job of it, but Nakobe Dean hasn't become that player yet, right? He's still relied on maybe to be that guy, or maybe that becomes Jeremiah Trotter this year, but you look at the linebacker group and you're like, nobody there is a proven commodity yet. James Bradberry, Darius Slay, they're only getting older. Quinyon Mitchell may have to come in and be good right away. If he isn't, problem.
Brought Devin White in, there's going to be some bad plays.
Right. And then the defensive line, they are transitioning. They're moving away from these old guys. Fletcher Cox retired along with Jason Kelsey. Brandon Graham is somehow still there and kicking. But, you now need – Jalen Carter was fantastic for the first half of the season. Second half, not so much. Jordan Davis. Again, we've flashed great plays. We haven't seen consistently high-level play from Jordan Davis yet. He can't replace what you had in Fletcher Cox yet. Milton Williams has been okay. Nolan Smith hasn't done it yet. You can see what they've done, but they're now relying on those guys to actually play at the same level as the players they've replaced. And to date, you wouldn't say they've done that.
You really are good at this show. You have a lot to say.
Inbuilt negativity.
A lot to say.